Rev up your engines for the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast with Big E. Proudly sponsored by Christensen Law, where bikers helping engine bikers is more than just a motto. It's our commitment to the biker community. Be sure to tune in and listen to the latest news and biker buzz. And for all your personal injury needs, be sure to contact the Christensen Law team at 248-900-9000. Welcome to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast, where the rubber meets the road and the tales of the ride unfold. I'm Big E, your guide on this two-wheeled adventure. Life is short, bikers, so let's get after it. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. So this week we're going to be talking with Kim Lonngren, and she is a part of the Midwest Biker Relief Foundation. Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Thanks for having me.
So, why don't you give us a little background on what it is that your foundation does?
Yep. So Midwest Biker Relief Foundation, or MBRF, is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2022 with the goal of financial assistance, mental health awareness, and education and awareness for bikers after motorcycle accidents. This is something that I had been working on for probably 5 years before we actually got it started and got a board together. But I just saw a need for the rest of the biker community that weren't involved in clubs, and that had that support network already in place.
Interesting. So is this something that you kind of have a connection with, experience with something that made you think that this would be a good thing, or just something that you just thought would be a good thing?
Yep. So my husband and I were actually in a motorcycle club, Fire and Iron, for almost a decade, and just saw the amount of accidents. And even being in a club, there's still that extra need for advocacy with dealing with insurance and attorneys, and just the turmoil that it takes on a family. And it really touched me. So I just started seeing more posts online about, hey, can you help my father-in-law had a motorcycle accident, or just generalization all across the board. And so I just started reaching out to people saying, hey, is there, what kind of help would you need, or what kind of help do you need? And the more I did that, the more I realized there's not really a lot of places out there that do this, and especially not without, like I said, having some type of club affiliation for that support system. So I wanted it to be more like your United Way, Red Cross kind of thing, but for bikers.
Okay. So say someone reaches out to you and says, I need some help. What would happen?
Yep. So right now we have a lot of different facets. We've applied for several different grants. But while we're waiting on those, we have a network of people who have a background in nonprofits and fundraising. So if it was just something financial that they needed help with funeral costs, if we had it, we've cut checks. They need $1,800 to finish paying off a funeral. If it's in the account, we will cut a check, and that's that. If it's something bigger, we had a family reach out, and two girls, they're 17 and 13, lost both their parents in a motorcycle accident. So this is something that's going to be more long term. We're getting ready to do our second annual ride for them. And that's something that will help plan the ride. We'll be there for support for the family. Um, and if maybe nobody else in the family rides, we would do some other type of benefit raffle fundraiser for them, and continue to do that until they're either back on their feet or something else has kind of helped.
Right. Right.
Um,
So that's very cool. And you're based out of
so me personally, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio,
okay.
and we do cover 6 states. We cover Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So
Okay, so you do cover Michigan.
we do.
Very cool. How could someone get involved? Say they want to help.
Yep, absolutely. You can always reach out to us on Facebook. We have had some issues with our website here lately. We do have a link on there to volunteer and to donate. But being a nonprofit and getting started and waiting for those grants, a lot of our help has been free help.
Right.
So we're still trying to work out some of those kinks. But you can always reach out to us on the Midwest Biker Relief, any of our social media platforms.
All right. So you have been involved in the club life, it sounds like. You were
Yes.
in a club for 10 years. Was it RC or an MC?
It was an MC.
It was an
My
MC.
husband is a firefighter, first responder, which is probably also why I think a little bit more deeply about the accident aspect
Right.
and seeing the aftermath. So it was that quite a bit.
Yeah. And so is this like your full-time job? Does it take a lot of time out of your daily life, or is it just like a passion
It is like
project?
a full-time job, but unfortunately, it does not pay.
It does not pay.
100%
Right.
of everybody is volunteer.
Oh.
In our organization. Nobody gets paid. We're all here because we want to be.
Very cool. Very cool.
We also don't. There were several things going around about memberships with different places that you would. I know they would come to clubs and say, if you pay $25 a year, if you go down, we'll cut you a check for $200 or whatever the case may be. And we had several clubs do that, and then something happened and they never got any money. So I don't even want to deal with memberships or anything. Everything is going to be, either through fundraising or grant, any money that comes in, and it all 100% goes back to the bikers in need and their families.
Awesome. So do you put on a lot of events in a year?
Right now we do not. We try and do at least one a year for the nonprofit and any type of, marketing, things like that is just more to help.
Right.
And give back to the communities. Last weekend we did, we called it Backpacks from Bikers. We were able to give out over 200 backpacks. We had some barber colleges come out, and they did, I think it was close to 190 haircuts, free haircuts for the kids. They had free lunch, face painting. We had bands out there. We invited the local clubs and got Baca out there. Just to get, with part of it being education and awareness, we just want to get kids familiar with bikers.
Right.
And the more that they're around them and realize that we're here to help, hopefully when they're on the road and they're able to drive, it'll have a different light to them and they'll pay attention.
Right. I see the thing going around where it's don't teach your kids slug bug, teach them to look for bikes. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We actually had Baca out at the, we were at an event this past weekend in Muskegon, and Baca was there. And so, of course, we had to buy something and support them. So,
yeah, they're an amazing group of people.
Right. And our club kind of has that same protecting the children kind of theme with it. So, we've talked to them a little bit locally. So, we definitely support that. So, if someone now, do you have like different like regions or different people in different states? How does that work? Because you cover 6 states.
We do. So even though we're an organization, it's going to have a club structure. So we'll have our state reps and then regional officers and then volunteers.
Okay. So who is the Michigan contact?
So right now we are now looking for our Michigan contact. We had one, but he had to step away due to starting his own outreach for veterans.
Okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
So we are looking for someone in Michigan if anybody is interested in stepping up. But even if we don't, we have enough people who travel for work that we would make something work.
Right. So. Well, maybe you and I need to talk some more, because maybe that be something that I can help out with.
Yeah.
You know, I have this wonderful platform here. I am trying to help as many people as I can get the word out on their events, and obviously the Midwest Biker Relief Foundation, because I think it's a good cause. It's not, I don't think it's very well known that it's even out there, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, every group kind of struggles with that, I think, in the beginning, as you're kind of finding your footing and what works and what doesn't work. A lot of people think it's a scam. A lot of people think, it's something, and I'm like, no, we don't want any money. I mean, we do when we fundraise, but we don't, we don't want any money for it. It's not a membership. It's people with hearts that care about the biker community. And just want to see everybody safe on the road and make it home to their families.
Right. So I'm going to run this scenario by you. So if, say, I was in a motorcycle accident, and I mean, maybe I was messed up pretty bad, and I'm trying to get back on my feet, and I'm doing physical therapy and all this, but I could just like use some mental help dealing with what happened. Is that something that you guys would deal with? Could you point him in the right direction, or?
So everybody now has been not certified, but coached for coaching. It's something that if anybody who's on our board or any of our state reps, things like that, if it's going to be a case that's beyond their purview, we do have resources to send them. But most of the time, they just need somebody to talk to. They're just having a hard time, and they just need that friend, that confidant, like, hey, everything just really sucks right now.
Right.
So we have several of those that we handle, and either by text or phone call. I actually have a lady, she's out of our reach, but she's in Florida, and her husband went through a motorcycle accident, was in a medically induced coma for 6 days. And I talk to her every day. We just texted about it. And, when she had those really hard moments, she gave me a call, and some days she just wanted to sit there on the phone and cry.
Right.
Those are really hard phone calls, and it's definitely not for everybody. But it's definitely something that's needed, that's not really provided anywhere else without judgment. What I've heard from a lot of people, even when we go to refer them, is, they've talked to somebody and it was, well, if they were wearing a helmet or they knew the risk when they got on the bike, so they kind of put that in negative undertones, even though they're trying to help.
Right.
And they don't really realize, even your licensed therapist kind of, I've heard, have done some of that kind of negative.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious if that was something that could be dealt with through you guys, because like I know somebody who their bike was their therapy and they got in an accident and their bike was totaled. They don't have a way to replace it.
Right.
And they struggle with that a little bit. So I was just kind of curious as to how that would be handled.
It is. Long-term goal is actually having something like we had the 90s suicide hotline that
Right.
you could just call and talk to people.
Right.
We want a 24/7 text line that's pretty much going to serve the same purpose. Eventually that is in the works. So I'm hoping in the next 6 to 8 months we will have that running.
Oh, wow.
But right now it's just whoever is available, and when they reach out or the family reaches out, we'll kind of assess it and see who's the best fit.
So you have a pretty big network of people, I'm guessing. Volunteers or...
I wish we had a bigger network. There's about 10 of us.
Oh, really?
Right now that are like active. We have several that are, if anything happens in this region, help, we'll help do whatever we need. We have several contacts like that. But actively working MBRF, there's about 10 of us.
That's interesting. You guys are covering a lot of ground then.
Yes.
So it's 6 states. So how did you, how did you pick the 6 states? You're not from Michigan or Wisconsin. You're in Ohio.
Yep, I'm in Ohio. The way that the board was structured is kind of where everybody pulled from.
Oh.
So it's just, anybody who rides, who's an avid rider, you travel states. You do your national rallies and different things. You meet people from different states.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
You just find those people that click and have the same heart and the same end goals as you, and keep in contact and run things by them, and they're like, oh, that's a good idea, that sucks, so then that's kind of how the board formed originally, and then it's kind of ventured off some from that, just with life getting in the way. So right now most of our board is centered in Illinois, with the exception of me in Ohio. But it's kind of all over the state. So we have northern Chicago, northern Indiana, and then Effingham, which is kind of central Illinois, and Indy. So
interesting. And so at one point, I'm going to guess there was somebody from Michigan involved and somebody from Wisconsin involved. Or is it just because they're like close? So
there was somebody in Michigan when we first started talking. They never actually joined, but we had already had everything on there. Right. And so some of our other people were closer. So, and then we had the one that joined and then had to leave for personal reasons.
Yeah, he's a pretty busy guy actually. So
yeah.
Got his hat and a lot of things, and work keeps him pretty busy. And yeah, so if it's the same person, I'm pretty sure it is. So nobody in Michigan really. Nobody in Wisconsin.
We do not anymore. We had one, and they it was kind of bad terms. So
all right. Well, I'm just trying to help out here.
Nope,
Missouri? You got
absolutely.
anybody in Missouri?
We do.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, we do have
Because, I
people in
mean,
Missouri.
we're not just listened to in Michigan. We have a following outside of our state, like 400 some cities, 20 countries. So,
That's awesome.
it is
Yeah, the
pretty
one we
cool.
have is by Table Rock Lake. Um, so anywhere else outside of there, we would love any help.
Right.
Um,
So if you're listening and you're in Michigan or Wisconsin or anywhere in the 6 states, and you want to get involved, who would they contact? Would they go there? Just go to your Facebook page and track you down through that?
Yep, just send a message to the face through Messenger on Facebook to the Midwest Biker Relief,
And say you want to
and
get
that'll go
involved.
to
You
one
want to
of the
help?
board members. Yep.
Very
Yep.
cool.
We, like I said, we do on the website have a volunteer button right under the application button. But it is kind of glitchy. So at least Facebook, we know we will. We have Instagram as well and a Twitter account. So any of those that would work.
Any of those social media platforms?
Yes. So I guess it's not Twitter anymore. It's X.
It's
now,
X.
right?
Yeah. I still call it Twitter though. And I had a question, and boom, just disappeared. Oh, I should really write that stuff down. So you've only been since 2022, is that what you said, or 2020?
2022.
2022.
When we officially, had all the paperwork filed, 501c3, been officially Midwest Biker Relief Foundation.
So you've only been at it really officially for 2 years, but before that, there was still stuff you were doing, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah. It took me 5 years to actually work on bylaws and just kind of figuring out, talking to different places, reached out to Down Biker, Support Biker. I've talked to Mama Badger quite a bit, like what works, what doesn't work. What direction are you going versus where do we want to be? So it did take several years to get to that point where we even wanted to be like, okay, it's time to file the articles of incorporation and just get this going.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So are there hopes long term to have more than 6 states?
There is. Yes. I mean, if we would love to cover the whole U.S. And help anybody who applies. But again, it's something that just takes time.
Right.
I know a lot of laws in a lot of states. It's a minimum of 3 years before you're even eligible to do any type of fundraising in that specific state. Or they're very strict on their raffle licensing and, just numerous amounts of hoops to jump through.
So if someone came to you and they wanted to do a fundraiser or something like that, you would help them organize it?
Yes. So we've done gun raffles. We've done just standard benefits, like with a dinner and an auction, and then poker runs as well.
No, awesome. So it sounds like things going pretty well, except for of course, there's never enough people that volunteer, is there?
No, never. Never. But I don't think so. Last year we did our taxes for the 2022. We ended up raising just under $50,000 and we were able to help 9 families.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, I mean, I'm pretty proud of that for being our first year.
Yeah, that's really good.
Definitely high hopes for it to, to continue to grow, and just so more people know that we're here.
Right.
It's kind of one of those catch-22s until we get more people situated and trained.
Right.
You don't want the word to get out too much because you don't want to get out inundated with all
Overwhelmed.
of
Yeah.
these, and then not be able to help the families that come to you.
Right.
So we just
Quality
keep
over
trucking along,
quantity
and
kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I think we'll talk some more because, not tonight, but we have our numbers so we can exchange information and talk some more because I think I might want to be involved in this more. So it's a really good cause and one that doesn't get much attention, I'm guessing.
Not really. A lot of it's just word of mouth right now, which is, if anybody knows marketing, that's still going to be, that grassroots is still going to be your best marketing tool.
Right.
But like I said, we're not inundated with people. We're able to help everybody who's applied, and we just keep moving forward. And again, anybody who does volunteer, because we're 100% volunteer, we're really flexible at the same. So if it's not going to be a huge time restraint unless you're a state rep, they are required a little bit more. But just to be, a regional officer or just a volunteer.
Right.
Even if it's just once, we would love to have your help. So.
Right. Yeah. Volunteers are tough to get and anything, it seems like. But I would think in the biker community is caring and generous as us bikers are, it would be a little bit better. So hopefully somebody will hear this and reach out and volunteer or step up and become a representative or something,
Yes. Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be cool. I would like to hear that. So, because I like getting the feedback, and you probably do too, that you help somebody. It's such a good feeling to know that something you did helped somebody.
Absolutely. And you do have, you said you have people all over. We are having our next ride is going to be August 10th. It's going to be ride for the Adcock family. And it will be in Peatone, Illinois.
Peatone, Illinois. And they could get that information by going to the Facebook page, could they? Is it posted on there?
Yes. Yep.
All right.
Yep. And I will repost another flyer again. Just make sure it's pinned up at the top because I'm not sure if I remembered to pin it.
I know. I'm terrible at that too.
Either that or I forget to take it down.
Yeah.
One or the other.
All right, Kim. Well, thank you for spending some time with us tonight. And hopefully we'll get the word out there a little bit more and get some more help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being on.
Bye.
Bye. There you go, bikers. Midwest Biker Relief Foundation, looking to help bikers. Great thing, I think. Great cause. I know a few people that could probably use some help. Hopefully they hear this and maybe they reach out and get some help. Yeah. And if you want to get involved again, track down the Facebook page and contact them. What a greater thing, but then to help a fellow biker out, even if it's just talking to them. I think it's awesome. All right, bikers, if you're looking for something to do this weekend, be sure to check out the 6th annual Lost Boys Ride in Manistee, Michigan. Registration from 10 to 11:15. Start and finish at the VFW post in Manistee. That'd be on 1211 28th Street. Kickstands up at 11:30 and $20 per bike. Be sure to check that out. It's always a good time, always a good ride. Something else I'd like you to check out is the Harley Geezer on YouTube. Pretty cool stuff. He did a thing here shortly about some different mirrors he put on his Harley. Kind of like that. I think it's a good idea, and I'm having some issues with my mirrors, so I think I'm going to try it. And while you're on YouTube, be sure you are liking and subscribing the Mid-Michigan Biker YouTube channel. All right, bikers, that's all I got. Life is short. Get after it. Thanks for listening to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast. Have a good one, bikers. And remember, life is short, so get after it.